you're now moving into the wonderfulness of self, the power of self in many ways, moving through a greater depth of loving, honoring, and value of self, as you're now moving through the ascension process of the self where that is concerned, releasing that which no longer serves you where that is concerned, quite possibly releasing relationships that no longer serve you where that is concerned. In many ways, during emptying out your life where that is concerned, of the low dense vibrational aspects of your life where that is concerned, the attachments to the low dense vibrational aspects of the third dimensional realm outside of yourself, and now moving into a greater depth of the ascension process of life where that is concerned, meaning endearing yourselves, connecting with those who raise your resonance and vibration. So where you are now, dear ones, as you move into your month of April where that is concerned, you're moving into a greater depth of the ascension process where that is concerned, as you simultaneously move into the knowingness of the power of the self where that is concerned, moving into your power and moving into a greater purpose of where you are in your life and what you are here to do where that is concerned, as you move into a greater sense of beingness within yourself. And what we mean, and I've been telling you about the greater sense of beingness of self, as you move into a greater sense of being who you are where that is concerned, you are regaining the powerfulness of you where that is concerned, by releasing the attachments to the old, by moving through the old trauma and the old wounding where that is concerned, and emerging from that shadow into a greater powerfulness of who you are, and thus ascending into that powerfulness, or ascending into the beingness of who you are where that is concerned. And that is what we mean by being who you are. It's rising above the old dense vibrational aspects of the old into the new of your life. And simply the new of your life within the depth and breadth of you is you, where that is concerned, into the beingness of you, raising your level of resonance and vibration into a powerfulness you have never known before. And that is what is transpiring for many in the world today where that is concerned, who are moving through the evolutionary process of themselves in the personal process that allows that evolutionary process to raise and vibrate at a higher level that you never have before where that is concerned. And many are in that powerfulness and moving into that ascension process where that is concerned. And we have said to you many, many times before, that ascension process is simply about releasing layer upon layer upon layer of old dense vibrational energy that no longer serves you in the process of the personal beingness of you where that is concerned. So as you are now emerging, many are now emerging as you move into your month of April where that is concerned, into a greater powerfulness of who you are, of knowing who you are, of loving, honoring, and valuing who you are to a greater level, and thus you can feel your resonance and vibration raising. And as that resonance and vibration raises within you, you can definitely see more clearly, and it's become more apparent and more conscious of your attachments to the low dense vibrational aspects of the third dimensional realm, to the low dense vibrational aspects of old relationships that are falling away organically and naturally as you raise your resonance and vibration to the full beingness in the ascension process of the self. So as you move through the personal process, it's moving through an ascension process of the self to move into the powerful beingness of who you are. Loving, honoring, and valuing yourself where that is concerned. And as that transpires, you find a new purpose in your life. A new purpose for being. A new purpose that moves you into the Christ consciousness of peace, love, community, harmony, and equality. As you see yourself in the mirror, you see others. As you look into the mirror in others' eyes, you see you. Thus moving into a oneness of where you are. Letting go of right or wrong, good or bad, either or. And that is the soul path where that is concerned. As we alluded to you in your month of March, moving through the human parts of your life as well. Being the human and the human being that you are. That is the personal process and what you came into and incarnated into the human form for. Is so you can follow and merge the human self with the soul self. But as you move through the human process of being, you begin to learn and grow and release. Learn, grow, release, and surrender. Surrender, grow, learn, release. Raises your resonance and vibration. So now you can look at the third dimensional realm outside of yourself, see your attachments to it more clearly, and then effervescently release those attachments to the third dimensional realm, to being the full beings of you in the Christ consciousness of peace, love, community, harmony, and equality. So what many are experiencing in your month of April, as you move into the month of April, is a new powerfulness of being. A new powerfulness of who they are. And being in that powerfulness of who they are through a greater depth of loving, honoring, and valuing yourself. That is the power, dear ones. The power as you see it, quite possibly in the third dimensional realm, humanness of it, is having power over others. I am better, I am greater than you. That is what's transpiring in your third dimension realm right now, dear ones, in your political systems, in your governmental systems. It is a false sense of power based upon wounding and defense. I am more powerful than you is a defense, dear ones, as opposed to being who you are in the powerfulness of loving, honoring, and valuing you. So what you see transpiring in the macrocosm of your third dimension realm is simply, dear ones, a false sense of power. A false sense of believing who you are or believing who you should be, as opposed to knowing who you are in the Christ consciousness, in the self-love, in the self-value of you. That equates to equality. That equates to all-inclusiveness. That equates to oneness. It is now being in that place. That is also powerfulness, dear ones. I am who I am in the I am consciousness. I love who I am. I love, honor, and value who I am. And if I love, honor, and value who I am to the greatest ability that I can in my evolutionary process on this earthly plane, in the soul process on this earthly plane, that I can look at you and love, honor, and value you exactly where you are. In your evolutionary process, in your process in the third dimensional realm. That is power, dear ones. So as you move, dear ones, through your month of April, we ask you to open your heart. Open your heart to look at what is transpiring in the third dimensional realm. See the mirror that reflects back to you. That will be an indication as to where you are in your evolutionary process. What is reflecting back to you as you look into another's eyes? How does that make you feel? Look at what is transpiring in the third dimensional realm. What is that mirroring back to you? So, dear ones, as we take our leave of this wonderful and most glorious time, it is most important, dear ones, to see where you are standing in the powerfulness of who you are. See where you have raised your resonance and vibration within you. See, quite possibly, where there is still either or, good or bad, right or wrong, in your consciousness. For if that still exists, dear one, you are still in the humanness of your process. It is about being where you are, dear ones. Loving, honoring, and valuing where you are. Loving, honoring, and valuing you in relationship to another. It is called oneness, dear one. It is called equality, dear ones. It is called all-inclusiveness, dear ones. And with that comes harmony and peace.